All right, welcome to lesson number 3. So in this one, we are going to go over the UTRGV presentation, just to go over some questions that you may get. Now, this is the standard presentation that we show to our students when we're giving our admissions visits. I'm not going to go over every single thing on this presentation. I'm just going to go over some of the fun facts and some things that you will need to know because we do get a lot of questions on it. So starting off, UTRGV. So on this page, what I like to emphasize is that we had a record-breaking class of 5,800. This was in the fall 2022 semester, and this is the highest number of students that we've had enroll at UTRGV since we were founded in 2015. I do like to also mention that we have over 32,000 vaqueros at UTRGV. Now, you do see some students ask, well, how, if it's not a big school? That will be touched on in the next slide. A lot of students also question, are my classes going to be big? Am I going to be in auditoriums? You also have to emphasize that we have a lot of online classes that students can participate in. And some students don't even go on campus. They just do fully online. And then I usually skip down to the 75 undergraduate programs and the 120 academic programs. What this means is that we do have a major for almost everything. And even if we don't, we may have a direct pipeline or some sort of route that they can do for postgraduate school. So for example, we don't have any actual law degrees, but we do have pre-law. That way they can get into law school afterwards. Same thing with medical and same thing with veterinary. Now, veterinary is a really popular one, and students ask if we have it. We don't, but we do have biology majors that can give you the route directly into a veterinary school afterwards. I do emphasize that we have 2 campuses, Edinburg, Texas, and Brownsville, Texas. I explain to those that aren't from the Valley, because since we do travel out of the Valley, I do explain to them how far these are from each other. And you also have to make sure that you explain to the students that they can attend classes on either campus. The reason why we have 2 campuses is because we want to make sure that we're accessible since the RGV is a very large area. And as you can see on this slide, we do have a lot more campuses that they'll be visiting, depending on what their major is. Of course, if they're in marine biology, they'll be at the beach. If they're in education, they'll be in Westaco. You just have to show them that there is a lot more to UTRGV than just one campus. Now, the number one question that we get is, how am I going to go to my Brownsville class if I live in Edinburg? I don't want to drive. I don't want to waste my gas money. We do have the Vaquero Express. That's a free service that we offer for all of our students. As long as they have their student ID, they can go on, and this is a free service. We do not charge our students anything to go from campus to campus using the Vaquero Express. Now, this is really something that students enjoy because it saves them the hour of driving. They're able to nap on the way. They're able to do homework. It's a great resource for all of our students. And I do love to emphasize that it's free for them. I feel like once they hear the word free, you can see their ears kind of go up. So you want to make sure that you emphasize as much as you can about what they're getting for their buck at UTRGV. These are some of the academics. Usually on this part, I'll do a little fun game to see what's the best school at UTRGV. So I'll ask them, by show of hands, by looking at these degrees, who's going to be in School of Business, who's going to be in Education, Fine Arts, and I go through it. And usually, depending on what kind of merchandise you take with you, I'll give them like a bracelet, or I'll give them a little pin, just for those that have like the most people. So, for example, let's just say, out of all of them, College of Liberal Arts had 20 students that want to go there. And that's the one with the most attendance from your class. I'll give them a little prize just for participating with me. The honors college, you really don't get any questions about, but you will get questions asking for PA school or for MD. Now, you go back to the honors college because this would assure them a spot in that program. What this does is, as long as they stay in the in the honors college, they are going to be admitted into the post-bachelor school, but they do have to make sure that they meet these requirements. Now, this one is a very important one for our students. It's what we have to offer that's already embedded in their tuition, meaning that they don't have to pay anything out of pocket to use these services. So, for example, the Learning Assistance Center can help them with essays. I'm sorry, the Learning Assistance Center is free tutoring on campus. The Writing Center is for essays, academic advising to choose their classes and help them with their degree plan. The Career Center, if they're looking for a job. The Counseling Center, if they want to unwind and get some free therapy on campus. The Student Health Center, which is sort of like a family doctor, and Youth Central, which is your one-stop shop for financial aid, registrars, bursars, admissions, and recruitment. So all of these services are in their tuition, meaning that they don't have to pay anything out of pocket. And then another one down below is the University Recreation Center, the UREC. This is your free gym at UTRGV. I usually like to emphasize to students, right now, if you're working out at your high school, or if you work out at a gym and you're paying $20, $30 a month, you can go ahead and cancel that because at UTRGV, you will have a full gym with a indoor track, rock climbing, full weight room, basketball courts, tennis courts, swimming pools. I give them all the good stuff about how fun it is because it's not just to work out, it's also to have a good time with your friends and play some chess or some ping pong. Parking lot students is something that we want to shy away from, and we do use that term a lot in recruitment. A parking lot student is a student that goes to class and then leaves. Well, I always emphasize that we have over 200 student organizations so that they know that there's always something on campus they can do. If there's some sort of interest that they may have, more than likely we do have a group for that. And if we don't, as long as they have 8 friends and one advisor that will sponsor them, they can open up that club at UTRGV. A lot of students will also ask about NCAA. You'll have some students that say, well, I'm really good at soccer. Can I be on the team? We are not allowed to talk about the sports. It is an NCAA rule. So if anybody asks you anything, we must give them the contact information for UTRGV athletics. That is the only way that we can give them information on that. Living on campus, for this, usually I direct them straight to the housing department only because their information is always changing. This we went over in lesson 1. Now on this one, students again will ask, hey, well, I don't have a 19.76, so does that mean I'm not going to get in? These are just averages, meaning that we don't need this exact score. It's just what we're looking for you to be around. Now this one is very important. The one that we really touch on the most with our students is UTRGV Tuition Advantage. Tuition Advantage is considered to be sort of like our free tuition program. What this is the students do need to be admitted and have their financial aid processed by March 1st. As long as they have that down, they will be able to get their tuition and fees paid for by UTRGV. Now, some things to remember because you will get questions. It is a filler grant, meaning that if they got a full financial aid award, they will not get tuition advantage to give them money in their pocket. What it does, let's just say tuition is $5,000 and and financial aid only gives you $2,000. Tuition advantage if financial aid only gives you $2,000, tuition advantage will kick in and give you that remaining $3,000. It fills in whatever was not completed by financial aid. So some students think, oh, well, I'm going to get Pell Grant and Texas Grant and financial aid. I'll use the tuition advantage as extra money to be able to, buy books and stuff. No, it is a filler grant. So the more financial aid they get, the less tuition advantage they'll get. But the goal is to be able to fill up and have them not pay anything for school. I also always emphasize the FAFSA application code. Whenever they apply, I always tell them, you're not committing to anything by putting this code. All it means is that you want UTRGV to receive your financial aid application. Scholarships, a very important thing to tell them is that the deadline is December 1st. If they're not admitted by December 1st, they are losing out on that money and they will not be able to apply for anything afterwards. Luminary is a big scholarship that these students need to know about because it is only offered to incoming freshmen. And no other student that is currently a student or a transfer student will be able to get this. It is only for incoming freshmen. It'll pay for their tuition and fees for 4 years. It'll pay for their housing for 2 years. And if they want to come back to grad school or to the School of Medicine, it'll pay for that too. This is a very important and very new scholarship that we offer for incoming freshmen only. So we do need to make sure that they're admitted by December 1st. Now, this is where a lot of students have questions. You just need to make sure that you stay updated with the website to get all the new information. But for the most part, all the questions can be answered here. If it looks like it's not that much information, it's because there really isn't much that we can give out while they're in the application process. Once they're selected as candidates, they will have somebody from the committee give them all of that information. And then I always make a little joke with my students that it's okay if you didn't listen to anything on this presentation. I just want you to take a picture of this slide. And some students chuckle. You'll see the ones that weren't paying attention will kind of sit up because you kind of called them out. It's good to have humor within your presentation so they know you're not just a representative, but you're there as a friend as well. And I always have them take a picture to look back on this to remember, okay, my scholarship application deadline is going to be on December 1st. Financial aid priority deadline is January 15th, and then tuition advantage is March 1st. And then always leave your information here. And then this is the outreach manager's email, but I always put my email on there. If I'm presenting to a school that's outside of my territory, I will put their email instead of mine and explain why it is that I'm putting someone else's email. So some questions that you may get can be answered within the PowerPoint itself. Some students will sometimes come up with a really weird question that you may not have time to answer. I usually tell them, you know what? After the presentation, I'll stick around for a couple minutes. Go ahead and ask me again. And that way, when they meet with me one-on-one, I'll have my UTRGV resources available to me, which we will go over in lesson number 4. But just make sure that you practice this, like if it's a presentation for one of your classes, go over this at night. Go over this, an hour before the actual presentation time. All this information on here, we're going to go over it every single day because we're going to do that many presentations. We want to make sure that we can make it our own, make it fun, make it humorous for your students, give out prizes in between, ask them questions, check for understanding. We want to make sure that you understand everything on this presentation. Because imagine if a student were to say, well, how much is it to ride the Vaquero Express? And you say, I don't know how much it would be. You're already in the wrong because it's a free service. Or imagine if a student were to say, if they were to say, oh, well, how much do I need to pay to go to the rec? And you say, well, go ask the rec. That way they can give you that information. You're already in the wrong because it's a free gym service for them. So we want to make sure, or let's say you start talking about the NCAA and say, oh, well, you know what? I think you may have a good chance of being on the team. You're already violating NCAA rules. We just got to make sure that you're 100% confident with what you're presenting. Because if you're not confident, then our students may lose that trust in you or the counselors. So just make sure that you have all of this in mind. Of course, if you ever have any questions, reach out to your direct supervisor or reach out to me. That way we can go over some more fun facts and more, if you want to go ahead and show me your presentation and show me how you do it. That way we can see what we can fix up. By all means, go ahead and send it to us, record yourself and send it to us. Our priority here is to make sure that you feel comfortable in presenting this admissions presentation. But that covers it all for lesson number 3, and we'll see you in lesson 4.